Welcome to Hampshire and the Anton on possibly the coldest day this year. There's an east wind just biting up the Anna Valley. There's leaves on the ground. We've had the first frosts and we're going to go fishing for grayling. We're going to be nymph fishing, and there's a reason for that. The hatches now would be sparse. Really the blue-winged hatches of summer are really just gone. You do see the odd stragglers. You do get actually large dark olive hatches, and we might even see some today. But by and large, it's going to be the food, what I call the grocery store, down below. The ones actually in and around the weed beds. There's still a lovely verdant growth of weed on this river. It's a classic. If you look, and we will do in a minute, there's just great banks of water parsley. There's ranunculus still there. It's this bright, lovely green that just punctuates the darkness of winter. But out there is food for the fish, and that's where they're going to be. They're not going to be rushing around expending energy up on the surface. They're going to be down there rooting around for all this wonderful opportunity.
So I'm Sam, based at Farlows, and it's a great honour to be fishing with Charles today, and thank you very much for having me down. I've never fished the River Anton before, but I mean, it looks like a stunning river, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Charles introducing me to the river, and hopefully we might get a couple of fish on the bank as well.
You know, on a day like this, and we've got this biting easterly, and you know what they say, when the wind's in the east, the fish feed the least. And that is the case. I mean, we've already had a little look on the river, just prior to this, and those fish are really skittish, and they really are a little bit unnerved by everything. And so this sudden change, we've had a nice climatic softness over the last few days. Yes, it's been cold, but it's been constant. Now we've suddenly got this sharp, it was warm yesterday, it's cold today. And if I've learnt anything over these 1 or 2 years I've fished, is that fish, doesn't matter what they are, hate change. I don't know if it's the same in lure fishing, but it's that they like constancy, they don't like sudden change, and it's replicated out there. And you suddenly see, and that's not a grayling. So we're going to be fishing fine. We're going to be fishing quite small flies, not big flies. So we're going to see what's in your box, and then we're going to go to it. On a river like the Anton, which is really clear, it's quite fine, I would err to the soft, the more sombre, the natural ones, like these lovely shrimp you've got going on here, this hare's ear you've got going on here, and if we tilt it up, maybe you can pick up on we can show the camera what we're talking about here. It's these dull patterns along here, not these really bright, gaudy, it looks as though the lights have come on Oxford Street along this line here. We've got the dark streets, the back streets if you like, right here. So this is what we're looking for, these nice little soft, buggy looking things. Even this, we still don't know what this purple, got it going on here. We don't know why grayling are turned on by this ultraviolet purple. We don't know. Does it look like that to them? Probably not. And it would be a shame actually if we knew all the answers. But what I can tell you is I would move from there down to here.
So I've brought along a 9'5" weight with me today, which is a kind of a good all-rounder. But Charles, you've brought along a couple of different rods that are longer and lighter. So maybe you'd like to explain what you might be showing me.
This is the Sage ESN. Now this has got a competition zero fly line really. I mean it's a what they call Euro nymph line. I think you've got them in store in the Rio ones, but this is a classic setup. This is 10.5 foot actually, and it seems ridiculously long on a tiny stream like this, but give me control. Expensive, but if you're going to be doing a lot of it's a great dry fly rod. It's a fantastic dry fly rod. So don't think this is just one rod for one thing. It's like so many things. You can press gang it to do other things too. But I love this, and the balance is perfect.
And by fishing the fine lines, I imagine that when you're fishing some of these like jig flies, it allows you to, it's so much sensitivity, and you can almost, I'll compare it to lure fishing, almost like jigging the flies along the bottom, or drop shotting even.
So and that's very often if you got to the coloured water, you know, that little bit of movement. I was fishing Broadlands a little while ago, and it was absolutely critical that instead of coming down straight, you came down and just going,
yeah,
and then you could see, you know, 10 foot or 10.5 foot up, that lift would just make that fly just do that. And I'm not sure about you and your lures, but as soon as you introduce a bit of movement, you start to create a dynamic around that. And I think that very often attracts, because it sends out almost a message to the fish that there's something of interest there, and have a look at it. So Sam, we've talked about rods, we've talked about flies, we've talked about just about everything. I don't know you, I'm absolutely perished sitting here.
It is a little bit chilly.
Yeah, let's just go and do it, shall we? Pop that on. Sam, what I'm looking for, these are the clear patches. And I'm looking over the top for shadows, basically, for just shapes that might look like fish. I mean, there could be one over there, for instance. And I'll look and look and look until I can determine what it is. I mean, it could be weed, but you know, very often it is a fish. I mean, Grayling have got this incredible knack of looking very similar to the bottom. You know, they're beautifully honed for what they do. So, you know, if your instinct, and I'm guided a lot by my instinct, if your instinct says, look, there might be a fish there,
there's a good chance there could be.
Stay and have a look. You know, don't rush. And don't do anything quickly along this. You can see we're on top of fish the whole time. Now, if you look over that patch, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. If you go up there is a fish up there.
It's not a big one.
No, it's not. Fish. But you have seen it. So that's what I mean. There's a perfect example of what I mean. And before you make a cast, have a look at what's around you up there, because that's where your fly is going to go. All right. Essential part about grayling fishing is delicacy, and that doesn't stop at the flies you use or anything else. It's an approach, but it also is matched by the tackle. So everything I've got, I can feel. It's tactile. A whole lot of it. I can feel what's going on. If I click bottom, it's called clicking bottom. If you're fishing a freestone stream, this is chalk, whereas you know the others are rain fed. You get a lot more boulders and all the rest of it, and if you can feel that fly just clicking bottom, so you can do that.
But you don't want to bring it back too quickly, because you don't want to affect the action of the fly. You're essentially fishing this dead drift. It's a bit like fishing dry fly subsurface. That's the best way of putting it. You don't want that drag. So we've just spotted a couple of nice grayling sitting in a little pool. Charles is just fishing his nymphs over the back of the pool in the deepest part. So I've just been asking Charles a couple of questions about his leader setup, and I've noticed that, Charles, you're fishing the leader below your indicator is roughly about the same depth as kind of the average depth that I've seen that we've been fishing in so far.
That's the general idea. I mean, there is a really nice fish out there, Sam, and it's a really beautiful fish.
I've just seen it.
I think actually it is feeding. Now that yellow bit is my indicator, and if it does anything odd, then I'll just lift.
Well done, Charles.
So that's what we've come for.
That is a stunning fish, Charles. Well done.
It's a male. You see the big fin there? There's a female, it's smaller. And it's just look at that. It's exquisite. Look at this little fin there. Look, isn't that beautiful? A little hint of turquoise there.
There's a great excuse to go out on a cold winter's day.
And the lovely thing is they're wild. No one's put. Well, it's said that the Romans put them in, but I don't know. We don't want to handle it too much. That's why we've got this net, because it's got a nice soft rim.
I've noticed,
So we're going to let that go.
fish have been really spooky today, and I've taken Charles's advice by fishing just a single fly. I did actually start off with a dropper as well, but these fish are so finicky and skittish at the moment that I think fishing the single fly will give us the better chance, and it's already worked for Charles. So I've just got a shrimp pattern on, very natural colour with a tiny bit of UV, so it just stands out that little bit, and I can just see a few grayling on that gravel run just there, so I'm gonna give it a few casts. Yeah, look at that. It's got its fin up. It's not a bad one. Actually, it's a cracking fish. Yes! Well, taking Charles's advice has definitely paid off. I've just been casting over into a little pool over the back there where I've spotted quite a few grayling. And I must admit, the cast that I caught this fish on was probably the best cast I've made in that area, and it's paid off. And I've got this lovely grayling in the net. Not quite as big as Charles, but it's still a fantastic fish.
I'm going back to what I started with, actually, and the reason is that I tried something that was a bit garish, a little bit sort of feral, and there's a big grayling down there, and if there's one thing that concentrates the mind, it's a big grayling. And I think they get to a certain size where, you know, they'll grayling are odd. I mean, they really are. 1 minute they'll go for something completely ridiculous, like bright pink or something like that, and then next minute they'll just shun that and just go for something very subtle. And it really is it's a game you can never really win entirely, and I think that's the absorption of it. But I've gone back to that shrimp. I've got one with just a tad more weight to it. Quite realistic, quite somber, no bead actually. Now it's going to look entirely different when it gets in the water. And here's one we fished with earlier. You can start to see all its glister and all this interesting stuff going on, and that's what I think might work. Oh, I've got it. There you are. Just came out and nailed that shot. It's a fantastic fish. It is an absolutely beautiful fish. And a female too. Oh, goodness me. Yes! Well, every now and again you get lucky. And that was it. We changed fly, and as soon as we got the line right on that fish, I mean, we saw it, and there was no hesitation, and we've gone through there with something gaudy and all the rest of it. And as soon as we put a somber pattern on, as soon as we did that, that fish just came offline and nailed it.
A little bit earlier on, Charles very kindly let me have a few casts with his Sage ESN 10.5 foot 3-weight, and it's a fantastic rod, and it's completely different to fishing with a 9-foot rod. Having that extra length allows you to have so much more control of the flies when you're fishing nymphs. You can keep the line out of the water so there's no drag, And I can compare it to the lure fishing that I do for jigging for pike, perch and zander, where you can keep in contact with the jigs and flies that are fishing close to the bottom, and you can even impart little movement, so you're almost jigging those flies as well. So, I mean, I've really enjoyed fishing with that little outfit there, and I might have to get one myself. Well, the light's starting to fade now, and I've really enjoyed today. We've had some fantastic fishing. It's been a massive learning curve for me, having not really used some of the long rods and fished with nymphs just the way that Charles has done today. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me down, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with me.
It's been a pleasure, Sam. It really has. I mean, you can fish on your own, but the experience shared is very different.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to be able to show somebody something new.
Yeah.
It really is. So, yeah, I mean, and it's always a learning curve for me too. I mean, you know, you never stop.
Well, thanks very much for joining us both on the bank today. I hope you've learnt something new, and if you'd like to try out grayling fishing or nymphing, pop into the store and have a chat with us.